Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to Citizen Live at 1. I am Terry Ann Chibet. Now, the Orange Democratic Movement nomination for the Homa Bay senatorial race has ended in disarray after rowdy youth destroyed voting material. Police fired in the air to disperse a mob at the Homa Bay County Hall, where hundreds of delegates had gathered amid claims that 4 parallel lists of delegates had surfaced. A number of youth have been put into police custody following the chaos. We are now joined on phone by reporter Francis Gashuri, who's at the venue of the aborted poll. Francis, a very good afternoon to you. Do tell us what is currently happening at the town hall.
Thank you very much, and a good afternoon to you, Terry Ann Chibet in Nairobi. Definitely not a very good afternoon for the ODM delegates here in Homa Bay County. Yet another man in black scenario has occurred here, and the nomination for the ODM flag bearer in the upcoming Senate contest has aborted a few minutes ago. And the delegates were forced to scamper for safety when the bodyguard, an alleged bodyguard of one of the aspirants, fired in the air, prompting the delegates to seek refuge. And 3 people have been arrested. 3 youth have been arrested by the police. These are the young men who kicked the boxes and broke them and scattered the ballot papers that were to be used in the nomination exercise, and also brought down the tents and broke down the seats that had been arranged for the delegates, throwing the whole nomination exercise into a disarray. And the 7 candidates, or the 7 aspirants who are to square it out for the ODM ticket, watched in disbelief as the scenario unfolded. And the security officers who were there asking the organizers to call off the exercise because it was not going to happen in a safe manner after the incident that caused the disruption. So as it stands now, Terian, no ODM nominations for the Homa Bay Senate seat here after that disruption. And we expect to hear now from the party headquarters in Nairobi, particularly the acting chairman and the secretary general, as well as the director of elections for the Orange Party. What next? What will be the next course of action? But Terian, some of the candidates that have been, some of the aspirants that I've been able to speak to, including Engineer Philip Okundi, Dr. Kenneth Kambona, Fred Rabongo, all condemning the incident, and in fact pointing an accusing finger at Moses Kajwang, one of the aspirants, saying that, or alleging that he hired goons and ferried them from Nairobi to come and cause the disruption. So far we have not managed to get Moses Kajwang to tell his side of the story, but as it stands now, he is the man accused of prompting the disruption by his competitors in the ODM nomination contest here in Homa Bay County, Terian.
Gashuri, thank you so much for that. Gashuri coming to us live on phone there from Homa Bay County, where the Orange Democratic Movement nomination for senatorial race has ended in disarray. He calls it yet another Men in Black scenario. Now, the National Security Amendment Bill continues to draw controversy even as the bill awaits discussion by the Committee of the Whole House in Parliament this week. Now, those supporting the bill maintain that it is necessary to contain insecurity, while its critics argue that it infringes on the Constitution.
As the security bill moves to the committee stage where amendments could be made, debate about it is raging. Rongai Member of Parliament Raymond Moi and his Kapenguria counterpart Samuel Moroto differed over the bill when they toured Kapenguria constituency. Moi insisted that the bill was necessary to combat the threat of terrorism.
Because without those laws, the various cases that come up in court would have no basis. People would go to court and they would be freed on a small amount of bond. So these various laws that have been introduced in Parliament will take care of those things.
On his part, Moroto said changing the constitution every time something goes wrong was not a solution.
If we finish amending the security issue, another one.
Moi, however, laid emphasis on the importance of giving more teeth to the National Intelligence Service.
We support the bills, of course, with some minor amendments.
None of the rights is an absolute right. All the rights have limitations, and at a time like this when the country is suffering from insecurity. So those limitations will just have to be in accordance with the Constitution, and once that is done, then the law should pass. So that
While conducting a fundraising in Samburu County, Assistant Bishop for SCK Samburu, Archdeacon Peter Leduma, said that insecurity in general and terrorism in particular has escalated in the entire country. The Assistant Bishop also supposed that county heads be included on the security matters.
Still staying with that story, media stakeholders have today faulted some sections of the proposed Security Laws Amendment Bill 2014 as retrogressive and an onslaught on media freedom. Media Owners Association Chairman Sam Sholay has said the media owners will present a memorandum with proposals of amendment to the bill that has sparked fierce debate since its publication last week. Sholay said the stakeholders will seek legal redress if their proposals are not accepted.
Media stakeholders have raised an alarm over amendments to various security laws which critics say take away key freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution.
The proposed amendments, especially 30F1, creates a situation where the broadcast enterprises will be required to obtain licenses from National Police Service prior to any publication. This creates an illegal license regime, since the only recognized broadcast licensing body is Communication Authority of Kenya. The Kenya Information and Communication Act has adequate provisions on regulation and control of broadcasting enterprises. It is therefore illegal to add a second layer of licensing procedures by requiring broadcasting firms to secure a permit from National Police Service.
So we must guard against overreacting to situations, then limiting our liberties in the process, because then that is what the terrorists want. So we ask Parliament to really relook at these laws. And if they are unconstitutional, we ask Parliament to play a rightful role to make sure that laws that are unconstitutional don't go through Parliament. Because if they do, then it's a self-defeating exercise. Because Kenyans, including the media itself, would go to court, to the highest court of the land, to declare any law that is considered to violate the Constitution unconstitutional.
It is also important to note that all of us, even in the media, we operate from this country. And we are agreeing with the government. We need to deal with this war against terror together. And also appreciate the fact that we need to streamline the gaps that were there, but without criminalizing our operations in the media.
The stakeholders, who range from the Media Council of Kenya, Media Owners Association, Editors Guild, Kenya Union of Journalists and the Kenya Correspondents Association, insist that there are adequate avenues and laws to curb insecurity and accuse the state of resorting to knee-jerk reactions.
We can work on what we call the right code of reporting, right code of conduct, and how to deal with the news material in the face of this new threat. But to criminalize, and in one of the sections introduces criminal libel, and I think that is section 66. In only very few societies in the world is criminal libel. It's still in the laws of any country. I don't think it is more than a few countries.
The leaders are also faulting the capacity of law enforcers to make informed judgment on the photographs that merit publication and footage that is appropriate for broadcast as indicated in a proposed amendment to the Penal Code.
If we are going to hand over the determination of what goes into the press to the police, what will happen? Will we have police sitting around our desks and nosing around which picture we are going to put on the headline? Do they have the capacity? So that is what we are saying. We are saying within the media sector, we know there are gaps, okay? But the point is, we are saying we are internally discussing what gaps there are, and we are strengthening that, and there are already laws.
Position of the Complaints Commission and even the Media Council itself, it has people with the background of what is required in the industry. So let the professionals decide, not police telling us that today this is the picture that we feel is going to communicate better. That can't happen. Let the professionals themselves decide in the newsrooms.
The stakeholders are currently drafting a joint memorandum that they hope to present to the Security Committee of the National Assembly.
We shall also be making proposals on matters which touch on Section 30F, which says any person who without authorization from the National Police Service broadcasts any information which undermines investigations or security operations relating to terrorism commits an offense. We'll be making proposals because if this is not done, then this should mark the end of investigative journalism.
It is going to be an active for Parliament, which is expected to vote on the bill on Thursday, even as interested parties present proposals for amendment. Alex Kubasu, Citizen Live at 1.
Now, police in Australia are negotiating with a lone gunman who's holding several people hostage at a cafe in one of the country's largest cities, Sydney. The attack that has captured the world's attention is reminiscent of the Westgate Mall attack here in Kenya, when gunmen held people hostage for several days in which 67 people were killed. 5 hostages have managed to escape from the cafe. Let's now take a live feed from CNN to get the latest in that hostage drama.
p.m. heading into nighttime in Sydney right now.
Now, reporters in Australia trying to get what information they can about this story, notably the name of the gunman still yet to be identified. The offices of 7 News were evacuated when the crisis began. That newsroom right down the street from the cafe, a bird's eye view right there of the Lindt coffee shop, the Lindt chocolate shop. One reporter now has been allowed to return to that newsroom. Listen to him speak about the situation.
Let's start with what we can see of the gunman. He has been clearly identifiable through these last few hours as he paces his way back and forth in front of the 4 plate glass windows at Lindt Cafe. He's wearing a white shirt, a black cap, he's unshaven, and he's carrying what appears to be a pump-action shotgun. That gun often coming into the frame of the windows, often close and menacingly close to the hostages themselves. Let's talk about them as well, Mel. We've counted so far about 15 different faces being forced up against the windows over these last 8-9 hours. Not the 50 that had been speculated earlier. I think that number is wildly inaccurate. We're talking about that number, 15 people, a combination of men and women and young people, but thankfully no children involved as far as we can tell from our vantage point up here. Now, the gunman seems to be sort of rotating these people through these positions on the windows with their hands and their faces up against the glass. One woman we've counted was there for at least 2 hours, an extraordinary, agonising time for her, surely having to stand on her feet for that long. Some of them have got their heads in their hands like this as they're standing in the windows, Mel. Others look so visibly upset. One woman whose eyes were bloodshot red, obviously been crying her eyes out for some time. Who knows what's been going through their minds these last few hours, but just a terrifying ordeal for them. And I've got to speculate here, but would have been...
That's a live feed from CNN on the latest on the hostage situation in Sydney. We will be crossing to pick that live feed later on in the bulletin. Now, back home, normalcy has returned to Kainuk at the border of Turkana and West Pokot after residents barricaded roads for 3 days, paralysing transport along the Kapenguria-Lodwar road. The 3-day blockade saw hundreds of travellers stranded. Leaders from the area are now calling for dialogue between the warring Pokot and Turkana communities instead of blocking the roads.
The road between Kainuk and Lodwar has been impassable for the last 3 days, owing to a fight between the 2 local communities. It was only until yesterday that normalcy returned and the road opened. The 3 days blockade has alarmed local leaders who say other alternative measures such as dialogue should be used instead of road blockade.
Kama serikali haitachukua wiki moja kutatua shida hapa, hata mimi sitasumbuka, nitajua kwamba nitatafuta mahali nitapeleka Waturkana.
According to area residents, the area has been attacked 13 times in a span of 1 month, with 23 people losing their lives and over 7,000 heads of cattle stolen. The latest being on Jamhuri Day, when 2 people were killed by attackers. Leaders here are calling on quick intervention from the government.
Wiki moja hesabu, kama wiki moja hakuna ndege imekuja hapa, hakuna operation imefanywa, pamanena jeita State House amefungua simu, basi tutatangaza tusema sasa sisi tumesauliwa na serikali.
The leaders urged locals to maintain peace and work with the police to identify the criminals. Michael Njenga for Live at 1.
Now, Kenya's Sikawa Sianto Malay has been crowned the new Miss Tourism Africa, a title she won during an event held in Venezuela. Sianto arrived back home yesterday to a tumultuous welcome from family, friends and relatives. Safi Godana tells us more.
The annual beauty pageant, which began in 2000, is based in the Great Britain. This year's Miss Tourism final was held on Wednesday, the 10th of this month in Venezuela, Southern America, with countries from around the world competing for the coveted title of Miss Tourism World 2014. And this time round, Kenya, represented by Sikawa Sianto from Narok County, won the title of Miss Tourism Africa. Some of the other titles contested for during the event were Miss Tourism Europe 2014, where Italy won the coveted trophy, and Miss Tourism America 2014, where Paraguay won the title. And yesterday, Sianto Malay arrived back home with lots of glamour and color. She was warmly welcomed back by her family members and other Narok County friends. The event aims to promote the tourism sector in the country by showcasing the diverse Kenyan culture. Safi Godana, Citizen Live at 1.
Citizen Television's Hussein Mohammed yesterday bid the Bachelors Club goodbye. The news anchor married his sweetheart Malyun Mohammed in a colourful ceremony attended by family members and colleagues.
Hussein Mohammed's special day started with a trip to the mosque. During a special ceremony for men only, Hussein took his vows, promising to love and cherish his bride, Malyun Mohammed. At the end of this ceremony, Hussein declared a married man. He was treated to a special send-off from his colleagues and friends. More festivities would take place in the evening as the women assembled to celebrate with the lucky lady. The Citizen TV team took to the dance floor before posing to immortalize the moment on film. Later in the night, the groom and his team joined in the festivities before he claimed his bride. After a day of celebration, the couple setting off to begin their new lives together as one. Wilkis Anyabwa, Citizen Live at 1.
The royal media family wishes Hussein and his wife Malyun a very great life ahead of them. Now, Kajiado North Member of Parliament Joseph Manje has been taken to India for specialized treatment. The legislator injured his back during a fracas in Ngong town during protests over land grabbing. Manje will be in India until later this month when he is expected to come back home.
For the last 1 month, wakati nilipata ile kisa ya askari waliporusha tear gas, kulikuwa na fracas na nikaweza kuumia shingo na mgongo. Daktari wa Karen walinitibu, wakanirifaa Nairobi Hospital, na sasa daktari wa Nairobi Hospital wamenirifaa niende treatment in India. Saizi ninaingia airport ili niweze kwenda kutibiwa, na natumaini nitarudi nikiwa salama.
The Masai Mara region is one of the tourism sites which have been adversely affected by insecurity and Ebola threats. At Oloronganeyo camp, it is evident that the number of visits has declined as many tents remain empty. According to Africa Eco Travel Managing Director Patrick Wanjohi, the number of tourists visiting the area has declined by almost 50% in the last 2 years. Wanjohi said the situation has been aggravated by Ebola fears and insecurity with travel bans given given by various countries. He added that even though the tourism sector had received a heavy blow this season, there's still hope if the government intensifies security.
Tourism generally has been on the downturn. It's been very, very low. I would say that in comparison to 2012 and 2013, 2014, we have operated basically at about 50% of the volumes that we had before. Despite all that, we've held on, and our hopes are still alive that we will continue to survive with the few tourists who are coming over until the situation improves, because this is not the time to give up.
Now, she was supposed to have died 16 years ago, but Leah Kilenga has defied the predictions of doctors to live a full life of by overcoming sickle cell anemia, which has no known cure. We bring you the inspirational story of a woman who's now leading a campaign to help other patients get better treatment and overcome the stigma associated with sickle cell anemia.
Kimala Village, a quiet hamlet in Taveta County. Leah Kilenga Masamo was born here 25 years ago, the third-born child of her parents Andrew and Eunice Masamo. But they will get a major jolt when Leah was just 3 months old. Doctors diagnosed her with sickle cell anemia, which has no known cure.
Nyuma mawazo yangu nilikuwa nakumbuka ile statement niliambiwa na daktari kuwa wengi huwa hawamalizi miaka 10-15.
More bad news followed when doctors ruled that Leah will not live beyond her 9th birthday.
I don't think it's someone's place to tell you how long you need to live, how long you will live, because I don't think a person in such power, such control over your life needs to give you such testaments about your life. It is not their place.
But she will bravely battle the ailment to live beyond 9 years and defy 2 more predictions that she will not live beyond 16 and 21 years. She's now 25. Her radiant smile, a symbol of defiance and the will to live another day.
Kweli ni ugonjwa ambao inaogopewa na familia nyingi, lakini watu waki accept na wakishikana vizuri hiyo family na wakikubali, basi nafikiri nguvu ya huo ugonjwa huwa inapungua.
She has had to battle not just the disease, but also the stigma that comes with it.
But people with sickle cell disease fall ill frequently. So no one will want to hire someone like this. And there's a lot of discrimination in the job market, because if you're hired to work 5 days a week for 8 hours or 12 hours, and you're there 2 times a week or 3 times a week, no one is going to hire you. So it's very difficult for us to interact with the different sex, because we are still getting to know ourselves. Some of us haven't really accepted the disease. So when you want to bring someone else into your life and tell them that, oh, you know, I have sickle cell disease, but I really like you and I think we need to be together, it's also very difficult for some people.
In August 2014, Leah graduated with Bachelor of Arts in International Business Administration from USIU. It was a major milestone for the strong-willed student whose life has been punctured by hospital visits and periods of debilitating pain.
Imagine being hacked, like with a saw, kukatwa na panga. It is close to that, but there's a few of my friends have had the privilege of seeing me in such kind of pain. You cannot talk, you cannot think, you cannot say anything. The only thing that you wish is to take your life.
As if that was not enough for the family, Leah lost her elder sister to the disease when she was 1 year old. According to doctors, the disease is hereditary and now runs in Leah's family.
Hiyo kitu iliniweka chini sana. Na iliniweka chini kwa sababu nilikuwa ndo mtoto wa kwanza, ndo nimeanza kazi.
Another of her sisters who resides in the United States has also defied the disease and is now living a fruitful life.
It was unfortunate that we lost our sister when she was 4 years old.
We lose a large number of them, possibly 80 to 90% of them, because we make the diagnosis late. For us to know what is happening to these kids, we need to know the diagnosis very early, and the best time is at the newborn time. Now, sickle cell anemia, whereas it's a blood condition, it affects practically all the parts of the body. The main characteristic of sickle cell anemia is that these people have red blood cells that are not like the normal red blood cells. A normal red blood cell, when it's made in your body from the bone marrow, it stays for roughly for 120 days, circulating around your body. But patients with sickle cell anemia, their red blood cells stay in the body for about 20 to 40 days.
She has been living with a very painful hereditary disease, sickle cell anemia, a disease that slows down so many people, but with Leah, the case is different. In memory of her late sister, Leah has now started a campaign to raise awareness about the disease. She's putting together an army of campaigners through her organization 10,003 Sickle Cell Warriors. She hopes to recruit 10,000 people to spread a message against stigma, better medical care, and creation of opportunities for patients.
10,003, the one represents my sister, the first warrior that I ever known, the one who was lost with sickle cell disease, who was lost to sickle cell disease. The 3 represents the 3 sickle cell warriors in our family, people, Mary, Magdalene, and I. And the 0s represent the people who have been lost with 2 sickle cell in Kenya.
Safi Godana, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Well, Citizen Live at 1 takes a short break. Now we will be back with more right after the break, including a look at business and sports. Don't go too far.